All right, everybody, welcome back to Top Tier Podcast. My name is Pale Ale Poppy. We got the chosen one here.
Yes, sir.
Episode 36.
Episode 36, bitch ass.
Happy holidays, Merry Christmas to everybody who celebrates the holiday. If you don't, happy Xmas or happy regular weekend. You know, celebrate New Year's, Happy New Year's. But we'll get that as well next week. Yeah, man, we got a lot of topics this week, man. I mean, like, I've been honestly following it, but trying to get away from the Tory Lanez trial. I mean, because it's just so much confusion out there. It's been so much, like, all over the place. People are running around talking about it's a Jay-Z conspiracy, it's a Rock Nation conspiracy, it's like some kind of pedophile cabal. Like, that's why I'm looking at Twitter. I'm like, and you just cannot get away from it. I mean, my whole timeline is just Tory Lanez, Jay-Z, Meg.
People are
Jay-Z,
saying
Rock
this
Nation.
is the newest Emmett Till situation. The fuck
People
that
are saying
come
that
from?
he's a modern day Emmett Till. People are clowning his height and saying this is Tory Lanez when this is gonna be on a clip too. This is Tory Lanez when he hops off the top bunk, and it shows someone like jumping from the second story of their house to the first floor.
Yo, that Vine is hilarious.
He's breaking their legs.
I miss Vine, man. That shit is hilarious. Yeah, I mean, we finally got the sentence, not the sentence, but we finally got the conviction that everybody was waiting on. He was guilty of all three. So, where do we stand now? Did you have any thoughts on...
He was guilty of all three charges. Some people were thinking he was only going to get the gun charge.
That's what I thought. But I think I was just misled. Seriously misled from the information that I was reading on Twitter, because that's where everybody was getting their shit from. I don't think anybody was actually going and trying to find articles, trying to find footage of the. How come they didn't film this?
I don't know.
That was one of the things I was confused about. What are like the rules for when you can film a public trial? They did it with OJ. This felt very reminiscent.
But this felt very public, so you would think they would have filmed it. You would think this is something that would have been filmed. Now there were a lot of images. They have, they have those artists who, for the trials they can't record. They have artists draw certain, pictures of certain scenes of what's going on in the trial.
I seen the hairline.
There was a picture. That was kind of fucked up. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but there was a picture where like they drew in his hair and it showed us like it drew in this part of his hairline and then the rest of his head was just bald.
My nigga, that's what he looks like, yo. His hairline is gone. Yeah, but
he should LeBron it and just get rid of it.
I think he does. He's normally bald, right?
Yeah.
It's only when it grows out or when he gets the plugs, like LeBron does. He probably has a little connection with LeBron. Hey, LeBron, I'm just playing.
Who's your hairline doctor? Who's your hairline installer? Who installed your hairline?
Exactly.
LeBron's like, bro, I don't want to blow up the spot, so I'm getting good deals.
Hell no. LeBron always comes back like he probably takes like a couple of months and then his hair starts to go again, and then all of a sudden like magic, it's just perfectly patched up. That should be no grays.
Man's a billionaire, so you would expect him to be patched up.
No, you should be looking right. I was watching Kevin Durant the other night. We were way off topic, but I was watching Kevin Durant the other night clowning niggas. And I was like, have you seen his hair, yo? All he needs to do is just a few brush strokes, and it would look much better than what it currently looks like.
Yeah.
I don't understand how you could be worth so much money and not give a fuck about your appearance.
Nah, bro.
Especially as a black man, we love our hair, man.
It'd be unfair. And I don't know. We're gonna get back on Tory, but this is I like this little direction we're going in. We're gonna get back on Tory and Meg. But I don't know, man. I feel like people who got money, they typically get their shit done. Like you just said, we were talking off mic, people are getting those, what do they call it? The filler, the bone filler. They're adding, they're chiseling their jawline, they're adding.
That Zac Efron shit.
Yeah. People are getting that done. People are getting their noses done. People are getting all kinds
everything, yo.
Yeah, getting their hairlines fixed.
The social media, because like getting back to Tory, because people are gonna clown your shit on social media if you're not looking right. So if you have the money, go ahead and do that shit. But yeah, I mean, with this trial, bro, I'm a little offended, honestly. Not because of the result. I have nothing to say about the result. I know a lot of people took sides with this. Right. And I know that, not government. I know that like the what is it called? What is this called? Like the judge system? What is it called? I sound really, really stupid. The judicial system. I know that it's very biased against black people, but this is, and I don't want to use that term, but you know where I was trying to go with it. But so I don't have anything to say with the result of it. But in terms of just like how misled I was, I really felt like I fell victim to it and almost started to think that it was going to be a certain result because of what I was seeing. And I'm sure a lot of people,
yeah,
you know, you see a lot of uproar on the internet.
Information on the internet that it's like, I still even did write up, did a lot of research, especially this morning, and I'm still a little confused.
What were you
because
confused
it's just
about?
like there's not a lot of credible sources out there. There's a lot of like misinformation.
Yes, exactly.
So I don't even want to talk about the legal aspect of it. I'm more kind of concerned with just the raw logic and moral, you know, being objective about at least what I've seen from my perspective is that if Tory did the crime, he should go to jail. There are a lot of people who are on the internet like terrorizing Meg. If he did the crime, he should go to jail. Period, point blank.
Yeah.
I'm all for if we can ascertain the truth of what happens, go from there. But there's so much confusion. I'm hearing reports of, oh, well, Tory's DNA wasn't on the gun, but there was a woman's DNA on the gun. People are saying that was misinformation. I'm still to this point confused. I really just kind of want to talk about the social media response of it and just kind of like what you think about social media response, because I can't really speak to exactly what happened. I mean, I don't think very many people even really know what happened or are being honest about what happened.
One of the things that I heard people talking about was that it doesn't even take much for you to get a media license, a media clearance to be in the courtroom. So you have all these people, like, I'm sure everybody was aware that No Jumper was like one of the main DJ Academics, right? Those two were like the main people that I saw floating around being retweeted and whatever, that were providing information about the trial and what was happening during the trial. But who the fuck are they? They're just random ass niggas that have like a voice now. They're not journalists.
No, they're not.
They're not fucking working for the New York Times.
No,
their livelihoods are not on the line. If they put out some bullshit, their livelihoods are not on the line. They're not gonna get fired from any type of job. They could put out literally whatever misleading, biased information that they want.
They're literally just social media gossipers. They're like clown part-time tabloid weirdo guys. DJ Academics is like the biggest example.
Yeah.
He just gets on Twitch and just runs his mouth about nonsense and it gets taken as fact.
And I'm sure there is some fact to it because they do have inside information. And I'm sure some of those people that we saw, quote unquote, reporting on the trial were actually in the court case taking notes and things like that. But when you see the contradictory I had to stop following it. I literally had to stop following it because there was just so much contradicting information. And another reason why I had to stop following it is because like just seeing the people that were attacking each other on either side, and most of the time it was split right down the line of gender, that shit just really irked my soul. Social media does that to you. You just got to take a break from it
after
sometimes.
a while, after a while, it has just evolved into like this giant like, I hate men, I hate women. Dudes are like, people are charged up hard on all sides, and it's like largely because of a lot of the confusion, because there's a lot of confusion. Like a lot of the biggest some of the people I guess on let's say the I don't like Meg side are saying is that she's lied throughout this entire case. She went on Gayle King and was saying that I didn't have sex with this man, and then it was revealed that she was. And like, well, now we have to question the entire situation since you were lying. The other angle is that she's also said that she was trying to protect the black man from getting absolutely roasted by police.
Yeah.
At that time.
Yeah.
But there's just
she didn't even want it to go to
confusion.
trial.
Yeah, she didn't want
People
to.
were acting as though Meg the Stallion was on trial, when it's the state of California versus Tory Lanez. This has nothing. Meg the Stallion is literally the victim in this situation. So for people to be attacking her as if she brought this entire thing to light and made this, what was the word that you used, stratified it or what?
Yeah,
you used an incredible
stratified or magnified it. They have blown this whole situation up into like this giant gender war battle that's literally become over time. Like at least now.
Studying the thesaurus.
Yeah. But I guess we can just chalk it up to this being social media absurdity. I mean, if you have people talking about Daystar or Tory Lanez is the modern day Emmett Till, people are clearly just see chaos and they're just joining in it. They're agents of chaos. Like, ooh, free chaos. Let me just stir up the pot. I mean, Tory Lanez is facing 20 years. Do you think that's fair? Do you think? I don't
know what's fair. I mean, it's all written in the books.
And and a lot of people are also saying that he's being judged by one witness, who there's still no actual definitive proof that he did this. He did this thing. He was being judged by a single witness who said they saw him have the gun and he fired the gun.
Well, that's what it is. Hey, everybody had a chance in that trial to state their case and to try to sway the argument in whatever way, fashion, shape, or form that they wanted to. And the defendant lost. So it is what it is. This is all law. It's not even about whether it's fair or not. To me, what's fair is having a trial where multiple jurors deliberate and come up with a reasonable response. And if you get convicted, nigga, then you did the crime. I'm sorry. But they can always appeal. Like, we'll see. I'm sure the lawyer even said something like that about, we're going to try to appeal this.
They're definitely on the path to appeal.
Yeah, it is what it is. To me, it was just that gender war shit that people try to set up. And you said it earlier, like, I thought that was a really poignant point where you were like, this is all materialized, bro. Like, there's a reason why we feel like, these Kevin Samuels things, like those type, you know what I'm talking about? Like, these types of situations pop up where it always feels like we're putting...
Like it's orchestrated. Like it's...
we're putting black people, black women against black men all the time.
Yeah, and it's like, it's public. It's like a public, like, everybody's just looking, like we always talk about, we have to do better as a community. But you don't hear other communities who have their own individual problems. You never really hear it put like that. It's always like, and we do it to ourselves to a certain point where we always magnify, like, we got to do better, guys, for the whole world. Like, every community has problems, different problems, but problems that are just as serious, no less. To a certain
I think
degree,
it's just,
right?
I think it's just more in the public eye, obviously, because it's on social media, but particularly this conversation has pretty much taken place solely on Twitter, is where I've been seeing a lot of the conversations been had. And we already know Black Twitter owns Twitter.
Not literally, but we are the dominant culture on social media. We don't
literally own it, obviously, but yeah, Black Twitter is Twitter. That's what I should say. If it wasn't for black people, if all black people left Twitter ain't shit tomorrow. So, and let's be honest about that. So I think that's the reason why we feel like that may be the case, because it's black people talking about black situations, black conversations. But it is interesting, like the light that we shine on it. Like, everybody else keeps their dirt tucked.
Keep their dirt tucked.
We public with it, talking about one of the dudes off mic, main figure in the public eye, talking about all the black people. Literally, the niggas I hate is what he like. The niggas I hate is what he titled it. So you see that time and time again, where it's just like black people are so quick to take to social media to just bash other black people. Deion Sanders, we talked about, like Kyrie Irving, we talked about. And then there's other people that try to bring it to light and say the positive aspects of that. But we know the positivity isn't going to get nearly as much coverage, nearly as much airtime and virality as the negative. So that's just something in our culture that we need to fix and work on, I guess.
Yeah, but like, and we're guilty of that now to a certain degree.
It's true.
Well, we're like, we got to work on it. But other communities have problems. Like, everybody kind of makes it seem like the black community is just, they're doing all this and all this crime and all this. And other groups have cartels. They have, they drug deal on an international level. You know what I mean? But it doesn't get, you don't hear them talking about, hey guys, we got to do better. We got to fix those cartels. This is just a growing problem. You don't hear it.
Well, so then what side do you want us to take then? In your eyes, you'd rather just not talk about it?
We gotta just keep it more. We gotta just be smart about it. These kind of things
What does that look like?
Don't need to be on social media. These kind of things gotta be in the home.
So just having the conversations amongst each other, face to face.
Yeah.
I don't think people are doing that.
It won't be 100%, but if most people agreed to do that, you would see much less of it being discussed on the internet.
Do you think that the opinions are more harmful? So what it sounds like to me is that you think that having the public conversation is more harmful than having the public conversation at all in the first place.
I think it's more harmful, because then you have agents of chaos who come in there. You don't exactly know who's actually coming in the conversation. You got people who are posing as black and they just come in and just say inflammatory things to stir the pot. It happens all the time. So I always think you might as well keep it local community or in the household.
Yeah. I can see that point. I don't know if I necessarily agree with it though.
You can organize on the internet. Hey, let's come speak in this city and meet up, have a little panel discussion. I don't know. People ain't gonna go to that, but I think
that's
it's better.
the thing, though. That's the thing. People will show up to Twitter Spaces. They gonna show up to Twitter Spaces to say, "Hey, you taking the $500,000 dinner meeting, or are you gonna meet up with Jay-Z?" People going
dinner meeting. sorry. I'm not meeting up with Jay-Z. Sorry, I'm taking the $500K. I'm not meeting.
People are going to show up to the Twitter Spaces. I'm not sure if people are going to show up to the local church, the local Boys and Girls Club to have these conversations.
Definitely not.
At least not in our community currently. Avatar 2. Talk about it. I haven't seen it.
I went to see
We're
it.
We're gonna try our best to keep it spoiler free. But
them tickets were $28. I went to go see it in the where I went to go see it somewhere at the Grove, I think. Yeah, and $28, man. Went to see it Dolby. Went to see it. I didn't see IMAX Laser, but I went to see it in Dolby Cinema.
That's what it
3D.
takes. That's what it takes. That's what it takes.
Truthfully, man, movie was great.
Oh,
movie
okay,
was great. I thought the movie was. I legitimately
around
thought the
plus.
movie
That's
was
what I
really
want to
good.
hear. That's what I want to hear.
The plot wasn't. The plot was predictable. I mean, I called everything. I swear to God. And I don't really call things like that unless it's very obvious foreshadowing.
You're not like how I am in Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Hey, I've been on fire with Breaking Bad.
You have been. You have been.
I've been on fire.
I mean, for those spoiler alert for those who don't know, he called Jane's death, but Jane was pretty obvious death. I mean, she was a junkie, but you would expect, and she was causing too much trouble. So
yeah,
that was an obvious one.
Hey, what can I say?
But yeah, there was a lot of obvious, a lot of obvious things going on in this movie. But that wasn't the point. The visuals were so incredible. I know this is cliche. Everyone talks about the visuals, but it just has
That's
to be
what it's
said.
for, though.
It better be good. I mean, we've been waiting since 2009. 2008,
That's
2009.
the entire marketing of Avatar, the franchise, is, hey, our movie looks better than any other movie you've seen.
The 3D
So
was
it
so
needs to
good, it was
deliver.
absolutely absurd.
Did you see a noticeable jump?
Yes.
You saw a noticeable jump?
I saw a noticeable jump, and the 3D was the best 3D I've ever seen in my life. Period, point blank. Every other 3D I've ever seen has been like a joke. A joke.
Like why though? Like what's the difference?
I think it was just a mix of it being Dolby Cinema. Remember, Dolby Cinema is I'm pretty sure it's like true black, so it's like very high quality, very high contrast, so it's beautiful. It's extremely beautiful, and I guess because the movie was shot in 3D, it just has that extra element. So not only the color is just absolutely incredible, and the lights and the contrast is absolutely incredible.
That makes a huge
difference. The
difference.
movie was shot in 3D, so it looks fucking insane.
Yeah.
It looks absolutely ridiculous.
They don't have to upscale it, tweak it. It
It
doesn't lose any of that resolution.
No, that's just what it looks like raw because it was shot in 3D.
Mm-hmm. No, James Cameron has always been super, super into the cinematography of his movies. He's always been like that.
Dude, you're looking for those wicked shots. And for those who hadn't, you cool with me talking to me about the trailer? All this stuff I want to talk about is in the trailer.
You gotta do it.
But
for
there's
the
a
fans,
scene
bro.
where there's one of the new characters. He's touching a whale's fin, like a Pandoran whale, and he's underwater, and it's like they're underwater sideways. So it's he's holding onto the whale is tugging him, but it's vertical. The shot is vertical, but he's holding his hand out, and it looks like the edge of the water is to his right, even though he's upside down, kind of. It's some of the shots are stunningly beautiful.
Yeah,
it's way of the water, so it's the whole movie. It's kind of almost like Avatar 1 again, but now it's they're learning about a new Na'vi culture. In 1, Jake Sully was learning about the Forest Na'vi. Now it's a whole cast of characters learning about how a different race or group of Na'vi, what their way of life is. So it kind of felt like it wasn't a retelling of 1, but it kind of felt like it had vibes of 1, but it also had a lot of new characters that added a whole bunch of depth to the movie.
Yeah.
A lot of the new characters added a lot of depth. Because a lot of people didn't like 1 because they thought it was Space Pocahontas.
It was. Let's be honest. Let's be honest.
But 2,
white savior.
Yeah, 2 kind of feels more like fam. I don't know why. The first thing I think of when this movie is what's the guy from Fast and Furious where he's family is everything. It kind of was
that motherfucker's name?
Yeah,
I don't watch the movies, bro. Fuck the movies.
Yeah, I love the Riddick movies. I'm so angry I'm forgetting his name. But yeah, this
Diesel.
movie. Vin Diesel. This movie felt like Avatar 1 mixed with Waterworld, mixed with not Waterworld in the bad sense. Not Waterworld in the bad sense. I'm talking about the premise. The premise because it's taking place on the water. Or maybe mixed with Finding Nemo in terms of just, maybe these are bad comparisons. Let me scratch Water. We'll keep Waterworld. Take out Finding Nemo. So Avatar 1, the learning aspect of the culture. Waterworld because it takes place on the water, and just the family element of like Vin Diesel. Like family is everything. Like the family was like a very big. They really pushed it because there's a lot of new characters. Do you care? It's all trailer stuff. Do you care?
Go for it.
So Jake Sully has a big family. I mean, it's been a big time jump.
Yeah,
it's been a big. So he has kids, bro. Like he has like teenage kids. Like it's been.
I saw that.
It's been like over a decade. Mm-hmm. I mean, he has like I'm pretty sure all in the trailer. He has 2 sons. He has like a young daughter, and he has like 2 adopted kids. One of them's like a human.
Okay.
So it's like he has a big. So the whole movie is really centered around those new characters, and I thought they were all great, man. I loved them more than the OGs. Like they really put in a lot of work to really make you care. There was one character who didn't have a lot of depth of the kids, but all the other kids I felt like really were deep characters, and I would really like to see them going forward become main characters like in the later movies because they were really dope. But overall, man, and then like the last 45 minutes was like just straight up smoke. Straight up.
Just action.
Just action. Just straight up.
Good.
Just boxing. Dudes getting.
What is this rated?
PG-13. There was some very violent gore in this movie for it to be PG-13. We're pushing the line.
Is it just not? They don't really curse that much. That's
they
probably
curse.
what it is.
They curse. Yeah, they curse.
They're not dropping F-bombs clearly though.
They're not dropping F-bombs, but there's a lot of cursing. There's a lot of death. There's a scene where a character, I'm not going to tell you exactly what happened, but limbs were like, you saw the limbs get removed and they're flying in the air. It's like, I was like, yeah, they pushing the line.
That's the worst thing to me to watch is when people start breaking and losing limbs. I hate that.
Like it wasn't just implied and cut away. Like you see the limb just flapping around in the air.
Yo, that stuff that irks my soul, yo. I could watch niggas' heads get like in House of the Dragon. I can watch niggas' heads getting chopped off. I can watch Saving Private Ryan, just everyone getting shot up in the face and stuff like that. But as soon as I see a broken leg or like a leg chopped off, I'm like, I'm outie. I'm out. I can't handle it. I'm sorry.
Dudes are getting straight up impaled, but it's just like in the first movie when the arrows, because Na'vi are so big, their arrows like look normal when they're using them. When a human gets hit, it's like a human just got hit by a high-speed spear.
Exactly. Big ass cannon type
shit. And just get stuck to the wall. You just get thrown into the wall by getting stuck by a high-speed spear.
Literally penetrated. Pause.
But in this movie, they really went even harder with the gore with the arrows. Like
I can't wait to see it, man. I saw James Cameron has been talking this movie up. I mean, that was before it came out, but I think they finally crossed like 600 million globally. I think this is the number the last metric I saw.
It was a simple plot. It did cross 600
money.
Globally. People are saying though this is the big question because Cameron is like, we're gonna make $2 billion off this. I think if it didn't hit $1 billion to 1.2 billion now,
it's only been 2 weeks. What do you mean? It's only been 2 weeks. Movies stay in theaters for 3 months. This movie's gonna stay in theaters for 3 months, dog. It's Disney.
I see what you're saying.
It's Disney. They don't get their money.
I mean, we got Christmas and New Year's. I mean, it released at a time where this is the time. Mm-hmm. People who didn't see it last week and who have time off are going to see it this weekend.
Of course.
People who want to stay with family this weekend are going to see it. Are going to see it next weekend. Do not. I have no doubt by like the middle of January, the movie will be at 1.2 bill. I have no doubt. But
it's gonna make $1 billion.
I don't know. It's getting $1 billion. No question. I don't have no doubt. But
is he gonna get them Top Gun Maverick numbers though? That's what we gotta see. Is that Universal? What was Top Gun? Is that Universal?
I think Top Gun is Universal. I might watch that movie tonight. I think it's on streaming now.
Man, I hate Top Gun. The first one. I hate Top Gun. That movie is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. I'm serious.
I've only seen about half of it, and we watched it when we were in film school, in high school. We watched most of it. It just seemed like a typical dude bro movie.
It is so corny.
It just kind of seemed like corny. You know how we have our cultural movies? It just kind of seemed like more like a white American kind of.
But that's the thing though, is that everyone loves that movie though.
And it's not even just white Americans, but that's the vibe I got from it. Like it's because I didn't.
Well, it's a white cast. It's primarily a white cast. So, but that was the time.
But I've noticed that it's like really big in the white community. Like that's like.
And I like white movies.
That's like it's like that thing. I'm not saying I'm not for people who don't understand. I'm not just saying only white people like the movie. It was pretty good when I watched it, but I just kind of get that sense from it. Like, it's very much like a cult kind of cultural kind of like America do hurrah like kind of thing.
They missed me at the volleyball scene. There's a scene where they playing volleyball and it's in slow motion. They got the sunset lighting on it, and they got the glasses, the aviator shades, and the high fives, the low fives. I was out of there, bro. That is just too cheesy for me. Slow motion volleyball spikes? Are you kidding me? We play volleyball, bro. So it's not like I don't even care about volleyball. I want to see that, but that shit was so cheesy. People make fun of Zack Snyder's slow motion and 300 and shit. Nigga, go watch Top Gun if you think slow motion is a problem. I still haven't seen the second one. I don't think I want to.
I want to watch it now.
I saw James Cameron, though, was turning the fuck up on the fans.
Yeah, he, like, basically what people are saying and what happened was that he was turning down signing autographs for a whole bunch of rabid fans. And one of the guys just started cursing at him, so he started flipping him off. I don't blame him. I mean, if I got to go somewhere and I don't have time to sign autographs, you guys start saying fuck Avatar and all kinds of shit, like, I'm gonna be mad too.
James Cameron has been talking his shit.
This guy was like, all this money I spent to go watch that fucking movie, and you can't even sign this? He was just flipping him off. He got in an argument.
I don't know why people get so offended. People really take, when celebrities don't sign their autograph, people really take that seriously.
Because I
didn't even know.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. I didn't even know that people were still asking for autographs. We live in fucking 2020s. Like,
I don't get starstruck at all. I do not get every celebrity I've ever seen in real life. I've never felt compelled to even say anything to them.
My nigga, go on Wikipedia and
if I like their work,
copy and paste that shit
and keep moving on with my life.
Yeah, just consume their product. Like, spend the money on the product. I don't need a fucking, like I said, go on fucking Wikipedia. Look, you can look that shit up. You can print that shit on a piece of white, some 9x11. You could do that yourself. I mean, I guess it doesn't have the same level of quality or whatever, but shit, I don't get that.
There was a story with Drake that was like the same kind of thing where this kid would show up to him. It's related to the autographs. They would show up. He would show up, but he would always be at all his like appearances and would like get into sign stuff. And Drake realized after a while, this kid is literally getting my autograph to sell it online. So he had to like pull him aside and was like, bro, like, chill, bro. Like,
why is that a problem?
Because dudes are just like making money off your name.
So
like, you're signing stuff, and he's going.
He doesn't have a problem with. He doesn't have a problem with all the people reselling their concert tickets. Why would he have a problem with that?
He wouldn't have a. I see what you're saying, but he's not directly involved in that though. I mean, he sells out a show. He sells out a show. What other people do with their tickets is none of his business. He got his money off the initial sale.
Oh, so it's just because the cash isn't coming back to him? Sleazy.
I don't think it's because the cash is coming back to him. He was probably
That's what it sounds like.
Like, there's probably some other shit you could be doing. Being on my ass everywhere I go to get
my nigga, I gotta
autographs.
spend money. I gotta give my money to you to even show up in front of you. So the fuck you talking about? Drake needs to stop with that. I don't know if that's a real story or not, but if that's true, that Drake needs to stop with that. That's nasty. That's foul to me. Niggas always be. We were gonna talk about the nepo babies. Niggas always have a reason to justify everything, yo. The nepo babies that have you seen that conversation?
Yeah,
that's been going on.
I've been hearing about it, but you briefed me more when we were talking about it before we started recording. But like, yeah, there's a whole conversation going on where you start to realize how there are so many new like up and coming actors who are all their parents. You don't even know until doing further research. All their parents are like, or a lot of their parents are literally like in the industry.
In the industry, heavy.
The character, I forget her name from Stranger Things, but she was kind of like, she worked with
Maya
Steve
Hawke.
Maya Hawke. She worked with Steve at that. They worked at, was it like a movie theater or was it like some kind of diner?
It was like,
they worked together.
It was like a video store.
Like a video store. They worked together there. I didn't know she was Ethan Hawke's daughter.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
And Uma Thurman. No, maybe not Uma Thurman. I think it is Uma Thurman, actually. Yeah, I think it is Uma Thurman.
And some of the more obvious ones, like Jada and Willow, like that's an obvious one. I know this is
we've been knowing
industry. That. What's her name?
Same thing applies though.
The same thing applies, like Zoe Kravitz. Same thing.
Zoe Kravitz.
Those are the more obvious ones. But there was another one you pointed out. I'm trying to remember. There's more. There's a lot more. And there are older ones too they're not necessarily like nepotism in the music industry, but these are their.
You talking about Jamie Lee Curtis? That's the other one I mentioned.
I think so. Yeah.
The older lady?
Yeah. or like Selma Hayek, I've heard people say before that she's like comes from like an oil family,
which is
like,
crazy.
Or like, what's her name? She directed what's that movie? It's an MCU movie where they were like these gods who like originated like
Eternals.
Humanity. Yeah, she directed. I think her name is Zoe Chow. I think her dad's like a billionaire. I'm like, cool, but like this is learning into a larger discussion of like, do we live in a meritocracy? Is this by default making this entire thing debunked? And how do you feel about nepotism? Or are you practicing nepotism if you had a position to really go hard on it?
Anybody in their right minds is going to say, if I have a child that I could put in a prime position to succeed in life, I'm going to take that chance. Why would you not? Actually, it's not even taking a chance. That's what nepotism is that the kid doesn't have to take a chance. It's right there delivered hand over foot to you. It's right there. So yes, if anyone says anything otherwise, they're a fucking liar. Captain Crunch.
And I agree, because like even if you look at it from like an older perspective, like an ancient world perspective, like your dad's a stonemason, or you're a farmer, or you're whatever, right? And it's just expected, like 5 generations of my family were in this field, in this profession. The people who came before you built up the infrastructure. A lot of times you're inheriting a lot of the tools and in business infrastructure, business relationships. You're inheriting a lot of those things by default.
Yeah.
So that's just like in a more ancient perspective, but even in a modern perspective, I feel the same way. Like these are children of actors.
It's statistically evident that most children will end up in the line of work that their parents ended up in. That's just statistically evident. That's just a thing. It's like fact. So it doesn't really, like, I don't have anything to say, because I know a lot of people want to criticize nepotism and see it as bad because they don't have the same, our generation is huge on privilege, right? We call out every type of privilege. Skinny privilege, pretty privilege, we already know. But everybody has that privilege though. Nepotism is, you might not have it on the level of, you might not have it on the level of a celebrity like fucking, who are we talking about? Ethan Hawke.
Like Maya Hawke, yeah.
But you're not as successful as Ethan Hawke. But you have whatever your level of success is, I'm sure that you're going to be able to give your child some version of that in your own life. So let's stop the cap.
Yeah, I'm not even going to lie. My children are going to be, especially if I ever got rich, or built up wealth to a certain point where it's like, it's very significant. We're talking like 7-8 figures. I'm not going to hesitate. I'm not going to just give them everything. I'm not going to just be like, they're going to be driving Porsches and BMWs in high school, like when we saw the kids in school. Like, now you got to earn that shit. But if they come to me with a business idea,
career nepotism.
Hey, Dad, you in real estate? I want to get in real estate. I'm like, hey, son, read these books. I'll mentor you. Find a property. I'll be your investor. I'll be your private money. I'll do anything you need. Now you got to pay me back, but that's just preparing you for the business world. Like, you know what I mean? But anything you need, I will fund it. You find a good deal, you do the numbers, you prove it's a good return, I will fund you. That's the kind of like nepotism I want to practice with my children. And of course, when I die, they're going to inherit everything I got. But I'm going to tell them their whole life that you ain't getting shit.
I would hope that most people would say the same thing. Most parents, I would hope most parents would say the same thing. I think that just is what a caring, I'm not a parent, so I don't know. But I think that, from my opinion, like, that's just what a caring parent does, a loving parent does. You always want to set up your child to have the most success. Why would you do anything otherwise? If you knew you had a job lined up where your child can just step right into that position and they can automatically just have their career, just head start in their career, what parent is going to be like, let me keep that private. Actually, I'm not going to tell them. Like, who would do that? I hope nobody's doing that. Unless you want to build, because there is also that conversation of like, we're kind of stepped away from the meritocracy thing here, but there's also that conversation of like spoiled children, like the difference between like a spoiled child that's been given everything that gets success, quote unquote success, versus that child that literally has to get it from the fucking dirt.
Right.
There is a difference there. So it's almost like you don't want to set your child up for failure, even though they're quote unquote succeeding. Like Maya Hawke is going to get the roles. She's succeeding. But would she be succeeding on the same level? And I don't know her story. I don't know if all this is just connections that she's getting her shit. But I'm just saying, like, who knows the difference between if Maya Hawke were to get all these positions, just give it to her, hand it to her, versus if Maya Hawke had to come from the ground up and really, really work for that shit. Sleeping in the car, homeless and shit. I'm not saying it has to be on that level, but those are the stories that we hear, you know?
And you hear all the time about a lot of celebrities talking about, I struggled through acting school and I was eating noodles, and you look into their background and they was like, parents was funding their whole life while they were in acting school, while they were going the traditional route, and helped them get their first role, or were doing got producer credits and got them on. You know what I mean? Funded the movie and got them in. Like, I'm not. This is like my thing about nepotism. If you got it like that, you got it like that, and you want the best for your children. I'm doing the same thing, and I'm feeling no shame about it.
Not at all.
So I'm not even mad at it. But you know, my ultimate thing is, you know, ultimately the world will never be equal. We'll never have a world where it's like there is no nepotism. But I also feel like wealth inequality is so stark right now in the world. We need to strive for a more equitable society. We need to strive for a world where everybody, to some degree, can leave something. You know, we're getting to a point where a lot of people are getting, their wealth is careening towards zero. You know what I mean? They're going to have nothing to leave. It would be nice that if the average person can at least do something for their children in a significant way that can get them ahead. That's all I'm asking for. And we have to strive for a more equal society.
To leave something behind while they're living, not while they're when they fucking die.
Not even while they're dead. We have to strive. It'll never be equal. I'm not asking for that. I'm asking for us to at least try. We live in a world that's so greedy and apathetic towards anything equitable that is just, or even just outright antagonizing things that are equitable. It almost seems like it's not possible. It would be very different if we live in a world where the overall motive is, let's strive, like everybody's on board with striving for some things that are more, a society that's more equitable. But there's still nepotism. There's still going to be people who have more than others, you know. But,
and I think that we can get to that point. And the reason why I think that is because our generation, Gen Z, is very, very, very different in the way that our politics look, in the way that our view on society looks, the way that we put more of a priority, a moral priority at that, on community versus the individual. Like a lot of the past generations, boomers, Gen X, a lot of people want to blame millennials for this too, but I think that they're just kind of like, you know, they just kind of stuck in the middle. No one even cares about them. But, well, people really don't care about Gen X, honestly. But
Gen X is like a sub-gen. Some people
they're like
say
forgotten.
It's like a forgotten gen. It's like a sub-gen.
It definitely is. It definitely is. But I think that our generation is going to be the ones, because even the thought of equity, I don't think that it was as mainstream to be talking about equity deals, and not just in like business, but just in terms of overall society on the level. It's obviously been a conversation, but on the level that we're talking about it at such a young age, we're young. Our generation is fucking young, and we're already on this fucking mindset. Imagine 40 years from now.
I mean, me and you and I, we're like the oldest Gen Zs. I mean, we're young, and we're 24, you know, like.
Yeah.
So Gen Z is young if we're the oldest Gen Z. Gen Z is very young.
For sure. I think that it's going to be our generation that really, and people are going to call it communist, but our generation is going to be the one that really changes things around.
People throw that word around. They just be like I got in an argument with some random dude in this random Discord I follow that's crypto related, and he was like, man, the commie states. I'm like, hey man, can you explain what a commie state is? Is there a state where the total means of production is in the hand of the state, where everything is communally owned, all the factories, everything's either owned by the state, or owned and it's owned and controlled and distributed by the state? We live in free market capitalism. Until you can explain to me what California is, I don't know what you're talking about.
Communiformed.
Well, you know what I mean. You know what I meant. Commie wasn't the right word, but you know what I meant. They throw that word around. Anything that's like remotely would help someone in any real way, that's social. Yeah. In any real way, it's like communism.
It's weird that fear is still there, like that Red Scare type.
Propaganda.
It's weird. It's weird. That propaganda has been consistent though. How is it still? And that's what I'm saying. Like I really think our generation, like, because we're doing that with a lot of shit, bro. Like the exploitativeness of all these big businesses and shit. We don't fuck with that. People are quitting their jobs at a higher rate because of that. What else? Our politics are different. Like, we literally will like organize to remove certain politicians. I'm not saying that it hasn't been done before. I'm just saying our generation is more organized and we're so young. I'm just saying the future outlook looks really, really good for us. The way that we don't fuck with advertising.
Yeah, but I think a lot of the gym is also pretty, and there's nothing wrong with. I don't even want to phrase it like that, but we do get a lot of like right winger, super
That's always
late
gonna be a
stage
thing.
capitalist supporting guys in Gen Z as well.
That's always going to be a thing because the propaganda has to hit somebody.
Yeah, because I'm always
There's
like,
all these quote unquote truths around. You got to believe something, you know? Everybody's got to believe
right.
something.
I believe like a somewhat hybrid system is the best way. I
How do you
don't
mean?
fully believe in communism where it's like the state literally owns everything. There is no private land ownership. There are no private companies. State owns everything and controls everything, pools the resources and distributes it. It kind of goes back to Avatar 2, which kind of reminds me of like a highly advanced version of that hunter-gatherer thing, where it's like there's a central authority that's like, you guys are the fishermen and you guys are the farmers and you guys go gather these berries from here. Not the farmer, we're talking hunter-gatherer. So it's like, you guys go gather the fish and you guys go gather, these herbs and you guys make the clothing, and then we pull it together and distribute it to everyone.
Yeah.
That's like communism. I see it as like a highly advanced or much more modern version of that mentality.
I can see it, bro. Our generation is much more on that level of like, let's be a community. Let's work towards building up the community, build up the village, instead of just building up these little tiny individuals that might get to the level where they can then help the community. But by then, man, they've practiced, like Jeff Bezos has practiced being an individual, even though he does his philanthropic shit. But Jeff Bezos, like all these billionaires, they've practiced being an individual and just greedy individual intake for fucking decades.
And that's
what
what
makes
I'm
you
saying.
think that when they become fucking 60 years old that they're all of a sudden going to be like, oh, actually, let me go and I'm gonna help out all these millions of people.
And I'm gonna donate all my wealth to the state and just become like like everyone's equal. We all like our tribe and this giant modern ultra high tech tribe that just, I go do this job, I go do that job. We all live in equal houses. Nobody's doing that. That's how come I'm more of like a equal. And I don't personally, maybe I'm just grew up in capitalism, I just don't see that working in a modern perspective. And not in a world that's been on capitalism for too long. That's why some people, and I've also seen it, socialism is supposed to be like the halfway point between the two. But like a social democracy, I feel like is a way, like the way to enact that, kind of more a move towards socialism and with our current systems today, like our political systems today, where these things are passed into law. But they can also be unwritten. But I kind of see it as like the hybrid system being where there are a lot of things that are still controlled by the state, like all the different utilities. Like, in Texas, that's like private, but all the utilities are controlled by the state. Healthcare heavily subsidized by the state. There's heavy social safety net. There shouldn't be any homeless if a lot of the money and the taxes are going towards real things and things that matter. Mm-hmm. But there's also heavy limits on capitalism. We still have a free market, but we don't have super tech giants. You know what I mean? We don't have 4 or 5 mega conglomerates in a certain industry, or 2 in a certain industry that just own everything. There are no Disneys. Things are much more truncated. There's still a free market. There's still room for you to work yourself up and be rich, but it's not to the detriment of other people. It's not to the detriment of people who are starving, poor, hungry, don't have shit.
Yeah,
I think there's a. What do you think about that? Because I think there's a way to really meet in the middle on that.
I totally agree with that sentiment. I'm really looking forward to it. I want to see it because the people that are in power right now in America, like our politicians that are in power right now, are the boomers. And I don't remember what my full thought was on that, but the boomers, we had a little bit of technical difficulties, but the boomers are the ones that are making all of these issues that can easily be solved. They're just kind of pushing it off to the side. Just keep pushing it off to the side. We'll deal with it later.
Soon.
Yeah. I don't know if that's on their mind. I don't think that they want to die, but it does seem like they're just pushing it all over to the side. Let the next generations handle it because they're the ones that are actually going to be the ones that have to face the consequences for it and the repercussions for their current actions. But when we get into those positions, because it's already happening, we're already starting to see millennials that are in the Senate. We're already starting to see Gen Z that are starting to become like more involved in politics. I'm not sure if there's any in Congress yet, but we're starting to see it happen. We're gonna start making some big changes. I can definitely see that. Yes, sir. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. We appreciate you guys being here with us today on the Top Tier Podcast, episode 36. You already know where you can find us next week, same time, same place for episode 37. Catch y'all later.
Take it easy, guys. Thanks for tuning in.